Hello, everyone. It's Dave from your Workplace Guide. So, you've got your interview lined up, and now we're going to talk about what to do to put yourself in the best position for success. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, when you're looking forward to an interview, obviously you want to put in the time as far as preparation, but then it's time to actually get there, arrive, and actually execute and deliver the best interview you can. So, we're going to go over some things that you can definitely work on and focus on as far as being able to set yourself apart to give the best interview that you can give. First thing, arrive 5 minutes early. You want to be early, but you don't want to be too early. Okay, so you don't want to roll in 15 minutes early because then you may be sitting in the lobby making people feel pressured to come get you. Just about 5 minutes early is good, maybe 6, 7 early, but not much more than that. Just make sure you're early. Walk in with confidence. Your interview starts from the moment you park your car. Whether you realize it or not, there may be eyes on you. So make sure, walk in, introduce yourself, extend your hand, give a good introduction. Walk with confidence. Dress for success. This should go without saying, but in this day and age, you'd be surprised. Many people just feel that there's not a need to dress up. Wear a suit or other appropriate attire. Make sure you look sharp. Articulate clearly. And when I say speak loudly and clearly, obviously loudly doesn't mean that you're going to be deafening loud, but just make sure that everyone in the room can hear you. Make sure that there's no issues as far as, if you do not come across with a loud voice or a firm voice, it just kind of conveys a message of insecurity. So make sure that you don't have that issue. Introduce yourself with confidence. So you probably already met the receptionist. Now you're probably going to be meeting the person or persons that are going to be conducting the interview. Extend your hand, introduce yourself, a firm handshake. That's critical. Make sure you give a firm handshake when you introduce yourself. Make consistent eye contact. This is a big one. A lot of people don't do this. They keep their eyes down. They look at the desk. They look at the table in front of them, their resume, whatever it may be. Make sure you're making consistent eye contact with people. It demonstrates confidence. Sit with good posture. Another one, people don't realize they're doing this, but when you sit down, a lot of times you're in a conference room. Sometimes you're in an office setting. Just make sure you're sitting. You're sitting, straight up in your chair. You're not slouched over. Your hands are in your lap. Make sure you look good as far as your posture is concerned. There you go again, as far as I just mentioned. The hands in your lap, don't be waving them, making a lot of crazy hand gestures. Just keep them controlled. Keep them in front of you. Things are going to go fine. Take notes. Make sure you do this during the interview. And one recommendation here on taking notes, if it fits in as the interview is getting started, ask permission to take notes. Generally, they're going to, of course, say yes, but it just shows that you have an attention to detail. Then as the interview is progressing, just make sure, you quickly jot down whatever note it is you want to remember, and then that way you have it for follow-up questions or for additional interviews down the road. Timing on your answers. So do not drag your answers out for too long. Be conscious of how long you've been speaking, and once you realize that you've been speaking long enough, make sure you shut up and you're quiet. You do not want to drag an answer on extended periods amount of time. Is all you can do is end up hurting yourself. Give the relevant information, give it in a timely manner, and then let the interviewer ask for additional information if that's what they're looking for. Another thing you can do here, you can always offer to elaborate if that's what they would like you to do. So if you've been talking quite a while and you feel like, you probably need to be quiet now, I can certainly elaborate on that further if you would like me to. Put it in the interviewer's hands and let them go ahead and determine whether or not they would like you to continue speaking to something. Another one, this is pretty obvious, but once again, most people don't, not most. A lot of people just skip it. Be polite. Use your manners. Yes, please. No, thank you. Hey, thanks for meeting with me today. I appreciate your time. Just do the little things as far as being a grown-up when it comes to using your manners, and you'll be amazed how you'll set yourself apart. Be positive. You're happy to be there. The interviewer needs to understand that, okay? Now, I'm not saying come over the top on this, but I'm saying don't be the guy that's just negative on everything in life. Don't be the guy that was negative on your previous employment. Don't be the guy that was negative on your coworkers. Just come from a positive position. People like positive. Be personable. Okay? Obviously, people like people that are friendly. It's that simple. Be approachable. Be nice. Have a smile on your face. Don't be frowning. Don't be firm in your appearance. Just be personable and approachable, and it makes a big difference. Be aware of your tendencies. This is an easy one. People get into habits. They don't even realize they're doing it when they're speaking. I know, right? So I have a tendency to do this all the time with I say it quickly. So it's just something I'm aware of. It's something I have to be conscious of when I'm, whether it's doing a video, speaking to people, whatever. It's a habit of mine. So I try to make sure that I avoid it as much as possible. You're never going to be perfect in this area, and nobody really is, but just try to keep it in the back of your mind when you're rehearsing or when you're preparing for an interview or a speech, and just try to avoid it when you're actually in the event itself. Ask for clarification. So if you get a question you're just not sure exactly what they're driving at, just go ahead and ask them to clarify. You would rather do that than to just guess or assume that you understand the question and go down a wrong path. So ask for clarification when you're not sure. Assume the interviewer has more questions. Don't get to a point in the interview just because it's been going for a while that all of a sudden you kind of change in your body language and you realize that the interview may be drawing to an end. Just sit there, be attentive, and assume that they have more questions for you. You're happy to answer as many questions as they have because you're selling yourself. The more questions they are asking you, obviously, the better the interview is going. View that as a positive. Know the company. Homework beforehand is critical. You got to know the industry and you got to know the company. So this allows you to base your questions, from a more educated approach when you get the opportunity to ask them. Just make sure you're doing your research, know the company, and know the industry. Prepare your questions ahead of time. So most interviews, you're given an opportunity. Do you have any questions for me? Make sure before the interview, before you've even arrived, that you have some questions laid out that are relevant to the company, the industry, whatever it may be. Then as the interview progressed, you took notes. That probably generated maybe one or two additional questions that you're going to want to ask. Make sure you have questions ahead of time. Okay, that way if you do go through the interview, nothing really, comes to mind as far as what may be relevant to ask. You always have to have questions, so make sure you prepare them ahead of time. Let them know you're interested. Thanks for meeting with me today. I'm super excited to hear back from you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. Just let them know that you are still interested in the position towards the end of the interview or as the interview is winding down. Do not just assume that they think that. Maybe your body language has been such that they're just not sure. Make sure you end it by letting them know for sure that you're interested in the job. Send a thank you note. Each person in the interview, send it within 24 hours of the interview ending. This is critical. This is, again, most people don't do this because they just feel that it isn't necessary. If you want to set yourself apart, send a thank you. That's what we're going to end with as far as the advice. There's a lot of things you can really focus on when it comes down to interviewing, but just be yourself, be personable, use your manners, and be professional, and you're going to do just fine. And that's where I'm going to wrap this up. So if you're interested in more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. Feel free to leave comments. I appreciate those, and we'll talk soon.